Okay, everybody, thank you very much for joining. We'll get started now. Just going to do a quick 15-minute refresher of the 7-step process, sort of what all of our software is built around is the 7-step valuation process. Going to go through it pretty quickly today, but just wanted to remind everybody sort of some of the major features, what to pay attention to. First and foremost, one of the biggest customer service questions we get here is somebody runs a valuation, they don't know what to do next. Now, the first thing to remember is if you are a user, we do want you to be logged in. So when you come to a page, it'll say home or log in. Make sure you're at your white label page. So, for me, it's martin.bizequity.com. I logged in here, Brian Martin. So that identifies yourself to the system that you're a user and not a client. So it's going to, allow this company that you're running to appear in your console and allow you to go right into the dashboard right after the valuation's done. So again, your white label page, make sure you log in. So now it's identified me as logging in. Home, where you run the 7-step process. Company consoles, any companies you valued in the past will live there. Search for prospects, the prospecting map. Third, Success Center, but we're going to focus on the 7-step process today. So I'm going to type in test, very straightforward, test and zip code, two of the easiest questions in the whole process. Now, another place people get tripped up is going to be the industry. So we're looking for an NAICS code. A lot of people do type in the SIC code there because it's what's on the tax return, but again, an NAICS code. Now, save you guys from searching around the internet what those are, typing it in, keyword searchable. So plumbing, heating, and air conditioning contractors. I just typed in plumbing. That's going to pre-fill 23822. Always, if you have trouble identifying what the appropriate NAICS code is, feel free to email us at support@bizequity.com. We sort of have a cheat sheet database and can get the answer for you very quickly. So first part of the 7 steps done. If you're evaluating a company that appears in the database, it's going to ask you if that's the company. I just typed in test. I'm not going to interview, or I'm not going to fill out MJ test prep. Second step is, this is actually the easiest step in the entire process. So another question I get a lot is, whose information are you putting here? Now, this is going to be the business owner. So whoever's business you're valuing, you're going to want to put their information in here. And now, just to be clear, we're walking through a scenario where you logged in as yourself and you're running the valuation. A lot of you utilize that smart link feature where the business owner fills out the information, but let's take this call as if you're filling it out yourself. Name, address, all very straightforward. Not going to affect the valuation, but what it does is it just helps you keep straight who you're valuing, what you're doing. Now, step 2, the major thing to focus on, business structure. Again, this isn't going to affect the valuation that much, but what it's going to do is really speed up the data entry process. So let's say this company is an S Corp, founded in 1999, 22 employees. And here's another section we get questions on. Please select the reasons for running a valuation. This won't drive the valuation up or down why you're running it, but this is more for those people who are utilizing the smart link and who are driving clients to their page, just to give you the information for why they're running it. Doesn't matter if it's business valuation only, selling or buying. The valuation is going to be the same as it would be no matter what, based on the financials you put in. This is just an extra piece of information for you while you're in the data collection segment. Next step, step 3 of 7. Now we get down to the meat and potatoes of what we're doing. 2017, like we said here, it's projected. This point in the year, we do have a lot of users that are comfortable projecting out income. Usually January, February, a lot of people don't want to touch 2017. So if you're comfortable doing an annualized projection, obviously included here, some folks only want to do numbers that have happened, numbers that are already official. So in that case, just stick with 2016 and 2015. So I'm going to start typing in revenue here. Now, the most fun part of the whole process pops up right after I type in pre-tax income. That's when the number starts to climb. That's where we think, if you have the client in the room with you or they're running this on their own, that's what gets them to keep moving forward. So it's the reason we have this number up here. Officer compensation. This is one of the questions I'm going to focus on today. And it's probably one of the little bit less straightforward questions. And by that, I mean, we're not just looking for what the business owner pays themselves. Small businesses are run to be tax efficient. So we do know there are going to be some add backs that we want to include in the value of that business. So I gave an example the other day. So let's say, the business owner says, well, I pay myself a $85,000 salary. And they type in $85,000. There you go, the business valuation ticks up. But what if, this is someone you know well, and you know that they're taking some ad backs. Maybe they're leasing 5 or 6 cars through their business. Maybe they're paying for a country club membership. Maybe they're writing off additional benefits that they're receiving as far as being the business owner. We do want that to be included. And believe it or not, that actually adds value to the business if it's an increased number. So what if it just goes from 85,000 to 850,000? You're going to watch this number take a huge jump up. And that's significant, especially if they're selling the business. You want to make sure that they're valuing it properly. Now let's put a little more realistic number in here, so 250,000. And all of these questions, all of these answers that come off of that corporate tax return, it's the reason we selected the corporation earlier, are going to have this form icon next to them. A lot of people kind of underutilize this feature. And we're going to let you know what line on the tax return they come from. So that's what I said about making the data entry process easier. We don't, need you guys hunting down, everything in the P&L and going line by line. If you can get it off the corporate tax return, we're going to have the identifying form here for it. Anything that's not off the corporate tax return, generally it's going to come off a P&L or a balance sheet. We do have a question mark next to it. We define exactly what we're looking for. Another place some of our users sometimes gets tripped up is not all of these fields are going to apply to every business. So if you leave some of these blank, as long as you're combing through the P&Ls and making sure, they don't apply, it is okay to leave them blank. Doesn't mean you're not getting an accurate valuation. So don't feel like every box is going to be filled out on every business. Now here's probably one of the most straightforward pages here, everything based on assets. As far as an S-Corp goes, it's all coming off the corporate tax return. Very, very easy. Probably going to be one of the quickest steps you go through. Now, before we climb into liabilities here, I want to make everyone aware of 2 features that are seldom utilized, but I think people that do use them love them. Think about the Delegate feature. So we did the example, you're running the business valuation, clients in the room with you, they brought in all their financials for 2016, tax returns, P&L, balance sheet. They didn't bring it in for 2015. Maybe you told them to, maybe it slipped their mind. But as they see you go through this process, they can see it's not very difficult. And you don't mind them coming in here and adding the data because, you think they're tech savvy enough, they'll understand it. You can delegate this link to them. You can also delegate it to maybe their accountant, maybe their CFO. So maybe the CFO has the 2015 back at the office. They want it to be included in the valuation, but you don't want to lose time. So what this does is this creates a smart link for this specific company. So it allows who clicks on it to come in, edit the data, and add empty data that's there. Now, because they're sort of a third-party external user, it's not going to let them see the business valuation report or the dashboard at the end. You as the user still control the speed of that. So you control whether, you want to share the report right away, whether you want to show them the dashboard. All of that's up to you as, our licensing our software. We let you control the delivery to the client. Now we're on, again, liabilities. Almost all of this is going to come off a profit and loss or a balance sheet. Other short-term does come off the tax return. And I'm just kind of arbitrary filling in numbers here. I just really wanted to walk everybody through the process. Save for later button. This is going to be more for if the client's filling this out on their own and they want to email themselves a link to come back in. Since you have since we're logged in, we're using this as an example, you're the user, you're always able to come in and get anything out of your company console. So there's no reason for you to use the save for later because it's automatically saving in your console. Growth sliders. This is another one where, these, I wouldn't say people have trouble with them, but the long-term EBITDA margin, the projected revenue growth. This is one where, to have the most accurate valuation, you really need to have the most honest answer. So look at this. I threw EBITDA up to 80%. Is that realistic for a plumbing contractor that opened in 1999? Probably not. They're going to be close to 10%. Revenue growth is probably going to be around 8 to 10. Now, if it is accurate, obviously put it in there. We want it included. Rest of the questions are a lot more straightforward. Percentage of business reoccurring. Do you have any IP or trade secrets? As a contractor in the western suburbs of Philadelphia, probably not going to have those. Now we're already on step 7 of 7. Which percentage of sales comes to your top 3 customers? Let's say he works for a big builder, go 80. The owner of the business left, how would your profits and revenues be impacted? Remain the same, decline minimally, moderately, fall substantially, plummet. Now this was just pointed out to me recently, and it's something I wanted to share with anybody that is doing insurance. This is the key to start that key man policy. Maybe they don't have a key man policy in place. This is a perfect pivot to why they would need one. Go to fall plummet, you're going to see the business valuation drop here. One more question that our insurance users love here. So does your current life or key person insurance coverage risk management program cover the business valuation quotation above? It doesn't matter if it's yes or no. Being underinsured doesn't actually affect the value of your business, as everyone knows, as everyone probably on the call knows. But what it does do is it allows you to begin that conversation to selling insurance products. Now, just to wrap it up here, do you rent or own? Let's say they rent, independent third party. What's the monthly rent? 1,000, they have 7,500 square feet. We're done the business valuation. So since I'm logged in, when I hit save and continue, it's going to take me into the company console, go over the dashboard. Now, the dashboard is something we're going to cover on a different call, so I'm not going to spend much time here. But again, just to review, home is how you start a 7-step process. Please, please, please remember to go to your white label and log in. So it's going to say log in here. You know, I click my name. Company console, any companies that you've ever run before are going to live here. I'm going to have a ton that say test, obviously. You know, I do test companies all the time. If you are going to have clients use your smart link, you get it in the company console. So home, start evaluation, your name, company console starts the 7-step process, also gives you the smart link. Now, one thing to remember, especially if maybe you haven't logged in a while, you know, we do want everybody using this as much as possible. So if maybe you haven't used the steps in a while, what I recommend doing is come in, log in, you know, go to your white label, log in, run a company. Now, everybody has an allotment of companies. I don't want this to count towards that. As long as you use the word test or mock, we're not going to count that towards your company allotment. But I think it'll be great if if you haven't used the system in a while, you want to go through, you know, mess with the buttons. And it's another great way to get a sample report with your branding on it. Because remember, when you're logged in as yourself, you're going to have your white label branding. You're going to be able to sort of brand it to yourself. And let's say you're doing you're doing a mock report for an attorney, type an attorney, but say maybe 2 weeks later you're going to go over with a manufacturing company. Best thing to do there, come into the console, click on test, and you can update the NICUS code there if you want it to match the NICUS code of who you're discussing it with. And we're going to go over the console in next month's call, but I want to thank everybody for hopping on here today. I know I kind of went through everything at light speed, but I really just wanted to, first off, I want to answer any questions. So before anybody logs off, if there are any questions, I am happy to answer them. Otherwise, just hopefully anybody who, has a software, maybe hasn't logged in a while, is going to come in and run a test company. If you have any questions moving forward, emailing me at support@BizEquity.com, best way to get a hold of me. And from there, obviously, I'm always happy to help with everybody. And wanted to get everybody out of here in 15 minutes if they could, so I'm going to take a look at the questions now. Otherwise,